Let's start with our top story, looking at the Bengaluru doctor who killed his wife. In fact, I'm saying this with certainty because there's proof now. The biggest evidence is out confirming Bengaluru-based doctor Mahendra Reddy's hand in the cold-blooded murder of his wife, Dr. Kruthika. Police say Mahendra, who was an anaesthetist, Mahendra, a doctor who was working at the Bowring Hospital, he used his medical expertise to plan the killing of his wife. He knew that she suffered from gastric and metabolic issues. He exploited that information to make an anesthetic overdose and make it look like it was a natural death, that she died out of complications or because she had acute gastroenteritis. Now, investigators say that he administered anesthesia through IV drips while she was staying at her father's house. He reportedly went to her home with an intention to end her life that day. Now, why we say this? Let me tell you what the police have found. As per forensic report, the police have found that this doctor, he has sent a message to multiple women after he killed his wife. Mahendra's phone and his laptop exposes some really chilling digital trail. In the messages that he sent to several women after his wife had died, one message really popped. It was sent via a payment app, and it exactly said, and I quote, "I killed my wife for you." That message has now become a key piece of evidence to suggest clearly that Mahendra indeed killed his wife, made it look like it was natural death, made her family believe it was natural death. She was also a doctor, but yet none could suspect that he had an ulterior motive in mind. This case really strips away the veneer of professional respectability to reveal quite a manipulative, calculated pattern of domestic violence. And here in this case, a doctor who used his knowledge of medicine to kill his wife, and then his wife, being a doctor, is all the more shocking, did not even notice it. That's how precise it was, and that's how meticulously he planned this murder. The wife died on April 23rd, 2025. Her sister, in fact, Dr. Kruthika's sister, Nikitha Reddy, was the one who flagged this off months after her death. She insisted on a post-mortem that was to be done, and after the post-mortem and forensic tests that came out, it detected traces of anaesthetic in Kruthika's body, a fatal dose of it. And that's when all the questioning began, investigation began, police summoned him, and well, after months of investigation, here's what they found. A digital evidence that shows clearly that this man was trying to court multiple women in the name of his wife, in the name of his dead wife. And to one woman, he literally admitted that he killed his wife for her. Let me bring in our panelists on board to give us a little more in detail into how could you really explain this psyche. We have our former police officer joining us, Dr. Sanjay Sahai, who is a former ADGP of Karnataka. We also have Dr. Ravi Prakash, who is a psychiatrist. Thanks so much, both of you, for coming on this show and giving us a little more in detail. Dr. Sahai, I'll start with you. How critical is the digital forensic evidence here? How did they manage to find this, track back to that one message that was sent? Because we hear he sent messages to multiple women after his wife's death, either making it look like he's in distress and therefore he needs some female attention. He tried that, and on one message he clearly said that I've killed my wife for you. So it seems like the man knew very well what he was doing. He walked into this very well planned, decided that he's going to use his medical expertise to kill his wife, and this one message gave it away, and that too through a digital payment app, a message on a payment app. I'm not too sure how this works. Give us a little more on how forensics work and how it took and why it took so many months for the police to find out. We can't hear you, Dr. Sai. You've got to unmute yourself.
First and foremost, there are in criminal investigation, we are sometimes taught what a perfect murder can be. And I'm sure about the fact there are murders which go undetected, primarily for the reason because we don't have the capability of unraveling it because of a meticulous plan, which goes beyond our imagination. So that is the rider with which I start. I've been repeating over and over again, and I'm a very serious proponent of this theory, that only scientific investigation can literally nail evidence in a court of law. Rest everything can be changed. Your human beings can be bought over. There can be bargaining, negotiation. There can be variety of things. We'll come to the digital evidence a little later. First, let's get into the forensic evidence. And thanks to Dr. Nikitha, who had that sort of a gut feeling that there's something going amiss. And she basically tried her level best that the post-mortem is done. Now, given the circumstances as it stands, I think even where there is a slightest iota of doubt or might be where there is a complicated medical procedure, I think there should be some law which says that the postmortem is essential. This postmortem is a regular thing because everybody believes that it is a normal death and it is just out of a matter of extra precaution that this postmortem was conducted. So that being as it is, and when it was proven that this drug, anaesthetic drug, propofol, was found in her multiple organs. So they said that was the cause of death. That nearly pinned the whole thing to Dr. Mahendra Reddy because the way this whole treatment happened, that itself is completely fishy. So moving further to the digital evidence. See, there's huge amount of digital evidence which generally is seized. So laptop would be there, phones will be there, variety of things would be there. And couple of things are manually gone through. If you get some evidence straight away, you do that. Or one level of forensic tool. Any of these cyber forensic tools are used.
Yeah.
Now, when this information came that he's already he was a murderer based on the forensic evidence itself. So that was nearly clear, or it was clear that this fellow is a murderer. Then they would be looking for collaborative evidence. When looking for collaborative evidence, leaving aside only the hard memory of that particular gadget, they would have gone a step beyond and use forensic tools to literally get into every single piece of data which is available on the phone, and that is how they were able to lay their hands on whichever GPay or whichever the app was. He was very meticulous in the manner that he has not used any of the regular apps to communicate this sort of a message.
Imagine, I mean, he's basically used a payment app to send a message to the lady.
Yes. Sometimes it might also happen that you will leave the payment app and you will restrict yourself only to a couple of these apps which are being regularly used, and that also for a time period, say 1 month before the killing or till 1 month after the killing, whatever might be, depending on the evidence which is available or clue which is available to the police officer. Now, the only thing which I intend to say that 98% of the human interaction today is digital in nature. So I am convinced of the fact, and I've been repeating it for more than a decade, that 98% of the evidence will also be on the digital devices. So we should not take digital devices very casually. And the issue with digital devices is that if you have good state-of-art tools, I think that investigation can be done in a reasonably short period of time. We will develop that compute, we develop that capability. It is a very doable exercise. I have done a private investigation with nearly 8 TB of data, and we were finally able to prove that the person we were talking about had fake degrees.
You know, what if, I mean, 6 months the man has gotten away with it. Do you believe that the 6 months police took to thoroughly investigate this, because it's a high-profile case. Both come from good families. They're doctors. Do you believe that the police?
That argument does not cut. I say this primarily they have been waiting for the report of the forensic science laboratory. When they got the forensic science laboratory, then they swung into action because it was a clear-cut murder case, and most of the cases which we investigate, which is unnatural death, and unnatural death for very simple reasons. So it's generally presumed that there is no foul play. This also went in a nearly similar manner. This guy was also present at the time of the autopsy, and same emotional sort of a thing was made, which is generally the case that people don't opt for autopsy. Now, when they got a very evidence which is completely nailed, when you have this propofol in multiple organs, it is proven that it has been administered, and that is the only treatment which she took. She did not take any other treatment, and when she was brought to the local hospital, so that time she was declared dead on arrival. So that is where it stands.
Okay. Dr. Ravi Prakash, if I could bring you in on the psychology of this. As a doctor, first of all, he's used his medical expertise to carry out the crime. He thought it was perfect. Clearly, he's not a digital expert. He did not know that this will come back to bite him. But at least so far and so long, he got away with it. Very strategically administered IV drips and added the propofol anesthesia in it to such levels where the lady died. He knew that she had acute gastritis, she had metabolic issues, knew about her health and history, and therefore administered a fatal dose according to that. So the family were forced to believe it at that point because she had already fallen unconscious once in the past. So fainting was normal, at least for the family. They've seen her fall unconscious, so they must have believed that. And then this time, unfortunately, she died. And 6 months it went unnoticed. The man has, in the meanwhile, messaged multiple women, at least 4 women we hear as part of his forensics data. The investigation found proof that he's messaged at least 4 women, of which 1 woman he says, "I killed my wife for you." What kind of a personality does it take, let alone a doctor? What kind of a personality does it take to confess to a murder to another lady that you're courting, saying that, "See what I've done for you"? I mean, first of all, the lady on the other end, I'm sure, is shuddering and scared to be with a man like that who could kill his wife. But, well, this man here, without any guilt, actually more pride, he's sent out a message. What do you speak of that person?
Yeah. So, as I talked about it in my last interview, I think you were only there. 2 things I talked about: instrumental aggression and antisocial personality. So this one statement, actually, many times they say, the God is in details,
Yeah.
and the evil is also in the details. So this one statement, it explains everything. At least one part is very clear, that there is no remorse in the person for saying such a thing. Okay, and only a person with antisocial personality and maybe little bit narcissistic personality traits, he will be able to use that information to impress someone. What kind of twisted way of thinking, would it require for a person to have to think that he's impressing someone with this information as if it is some achievement, some capability? But this happens in antisocial personality. Their way of thinking is not straight. I mean, it's difficult to understand non-technically an antisocial personality or a narcissistic personality. So here it is very clear there is a lack of remorse, which is there in antisocial people. There is a egocentricity. Egocentricity means just thinking about their own needs, irrespective of whether that process of pursuing their needs will harm someone, will hurt someone. Just having that egocentricity and a twisted sense of grandiosity to be searched in the achievement that they want. So all these things, and you won't believe that many people fall for these kind of tactics also, and that is why they are termed as having superficial charm. Now, this was definitely something he did not expect that it will happen. But if it would be a face-to-face conversation, then the way of expression that was used in this one statement, that is sufficient to send a chill down the spine of anyone. You will be uh, you will be hurt, and you will be there will be emotions which you cannot explain. Fear is just one part of it. The excessive fear, you can say phobic fear, that kind of fear you will experience when you will understand the internal processing of a antisocial personality person. That is
But
what happens. So all those serial killers, Ted Bundy and
an educated doctor who thinks that he can get away with murder, that's the, first of all, can you become immune as a doctor when you treat so many patients, when you're looking at death so close, you're looking at people losing their family members, their loved ones? Do you really become immune as a doctor to are you insensitive to it?
I don't think so that it is about doctor, the profession of being a doctor or the profession of being a surgeon or an anesthetist, anything like that.
But he's
I
used his
think
professional expertise to kill her.
that people don't know. That is the thing about antisocial personality.
Huh.
See, they use all the resources that is at their dispense to create an elaborated lie. Basically, the one word which will explain an antisocial personality is lie, actually. The more elaborate lie, the more deceitful the process, the less chances of them getting caught. And for that, they use all these things, tactics which are at their disposal. And this is one of them. So he knew. And for to understand that, you have to think like a predator. It does not matter you're doctor, IAS, IPS officer. It does not matter. You know that people in power have misused power throughout the history and centuries, and we have a number of data to understand this. But a person who thinks as a predator will be able to understand that just like a tiger, the tiger will not attack the strongest of the herd. He will go behind the weakest, the weakling, what we say. So here the respected doctor's health condition was a weakness for him, and he understood it could be utilized to frame a kind of a murder which will go untraced in it. And it almost went,
Yeah.
thanks to all that to the gut feeling of the sister and all that forensic things what sir was describing. Thanks to all that we were able to catch a clue here. But otherwise, it
I'm
was
just
almost like
asking, is it because if I have to think with a straight mind, the ladies, the wife's sister is also a doctor.
yeah.
If at all, I'm saying, I mean, how brazen the man could have been that he's not even thought, what if even an iota of chance that the family finds out? He's thought that he's had a perfect plan, but clearly overlooked the fact that the sister is a doctor, that at any point there could be a post-mortem. Ideally, that's what the police instructions say. Mr. Sahai, you also mentioned very clearly that the police in this case delayed in investigating this case.
They
Earlier,
did not delay. They did not delay.
ideally,
See,
it
the
should be
point
taken as
is,
suspicion, right? If the wife has died
yeah, so
a year
all,
before, within a year of marriage, if the lady of the house has died.
So, see, it is taken as an unnatural death, and
Yeah.
if there are dowry issues involved, then it becomes a dowry death within 7 years of marriage. So, on the face of it, there was nothing of that nature. Mainly it was Dr. Nikita who basically became the savior of a murder case getting detected, and that is how the autopsy should have anyway happened. And that is why, and this doctor was aware of it, that is why he was desperately trying to get away with the autopsy part and take it as a natural death. Okay, now it is post-treatment thing. So it can also be treated as natural. Otherwise, anything post-treatment should end up for postmortem. That does not happen. So broadly, this Dr. Nikita, she had something in her mind. Might be whatever scene she has seen all throughout. That would have rung up some suspicion, or somewhere it has that thing has happened.
Okay. Now, doctor, domestic violence, it's so common. I think, Mr. Sahai, I will come to you on that, on the kind of domestic abuse that goes unreported and those that are reported, usually within marriages. It's rampant. Now, how often do abusive partners present a calm and composed front in public? How do you really see a red flag here? For especially the newly married, you never know how a partner can turn out to be, but do you want to give us a sense on what are the traits of an abusive partner?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, actually, in my previous book, I have talked about it. The six, red flags about an individual. And in my upcoming book, I'm specifically going to write about antisocial and narcissistic personality. So abuse is a very broad term. I would say a calculated abuse, an abuse that is used as an instrument. That is called instrumental aggression. One should be very, very particularly, suspicious in the mind when they see an abuse. First of all, number one is to trust your gut feeling. Whenever you will see a predatory person, you will have a gut feeling of something going amiss. You will not feel the connect. You will not have that kind of a emotional reciprocation with the person, and then other things will start adding up to it. The person's aggression over small issues, lying, frequent lying for even small petty issues for which lying was not at all required, deceitful nature, elaboration of the lie, sticking to the lie at any cost. These features, when they are there, you should start suspecting that the person is, not what he projects himself to be. And this is where most of the people they falter. They are not able to recognize the signs of an antisocial personality or narcissistic personality. But abuse, very common. It can be bilateral. I would not say that it is only from, male to female abuse, although the domestic
no,
violence
which is why I
act,
said abusive partner. Yeah.
abusive partner can have three kind of personalities. One is antisocial, one is narcissistic, and there is one more personality, borderline personality. So these three personalities, they will have an abusive pattern. Basically, abuse, the reasons will differ for different people and different couples. So just saying abuse is not sufficient. We have to look into the context. The commonest cause for which marital therapies, are taken, they are seeked are basically abuse only from the partner side. But it may not be physical abuse, it may be verbal abuse, it may be emotional abuse, and very interestingly, the word cruelty that has been used in, if you go and read about different kinds of divorce cases, the word cruelty that has been used in various family courts, it is indicative of the abuses types that happen in the marriages, and in them so many elaborations have been used, even denying coital activity, denying something that the person wants desperately, denying freedom, not only active perusal of something predatory in nature, but also denying something which was required to the person. All these fall in the category of abuse only. But as I said in my previous interview also, that this marriage being 8 months old, the departed soul, she had an adequate amount of time to understand that this person's personality was something, off. As most of the people describe antisocial personality. Yeah, I was just going through all the videos of that pre-marriage shoot and all, how comfortable they look with each other. But if you look close enough, you will realize that the emotional vulnerabilities and the emotional reactions are not up to the mark. Even in this video, if you have that kind of a detailed vision to understand them. So these are the things people should look into. Especially if the choice of resolving a conflict is fight or abuse, that is definitely a red flag. There is no doubt whether the abuse reason is antisocial trait or borderline trait. But if there is a conflict, basically in marriages there will be conflict, and if the choice of resolution of conflict,
Spouses who get
the method of
angry,
resolution is, yes,
spouses who get
anger is
angry for little things, for little things, you're constantly bickering. Is that a sign? I don't know if it could be a sign of a murderer, but
it
what
is.
because people have
That is
anger
a sign,
issues.
definitely.
Yeah.
That is definitely a sign. How can you stay in a marriage? See, marriage is supposed to be an alliance which is bonded by positive emotions. Pull forces should
That's
be
an
there.
ideal situation, no, sir.
You,
Where do you find
that is an
spouses who
ideal
are
situation.
if you're going to go
No, no,
after
there are
positive vibes
no, no,
throughout,
no.
then
There are many.
marriages will
No,
never
no. There are
last.
many happy marriages. No, this is a misconception. People believe that there are not, enough happy marriages. But if you look at the scale of the population, you will find that there are many happy marriages. The configurations are different. They understand the concept of reciprocation. But at the same time, these, marriages, when they come up in the
A
media, they
lot of
get
marriages
highlighted.
survive because either one person in the marriage decides to be submissive.
Wants to compromise.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that. But keeping those marriages aside, also, there are actually happy marriages. They don't show themselves out in
What
the
we are
public.
taught by the elders is to compromise. Now there is a level of compromise, you have to deal with it. Nobody comes
Up,
as a perfect package
up
the
to
way
a
you
degree,
want.
I would say. Up to a degree. You
Okay,
cannot
yeah,
compromise
exactly.
all the way.
So you're saying there should be
Up to a
there's a
degree, these things
threshold to
happen.
tolerance also. Yeah.
Tolerance, logic. I say that is what? Logic rescues marriages, actually. Most of the times.
And I
Who
think,
should win?
sorry
Not
to
the partners,
interrupt,
but the logic.
sorry to interrupt, but I think the reason to why this girl, Kruthika, was so, given in and invested in the marriage, or rather was listening to whatever the husband said, because he administered her medicine and drugs while she was ill. So she may have, handed her life to him because she felt less of a person because of her illness. She was having critical gastritis and something that was so that really consumed her life. So she thought the only way to be is to be fully submissive, allow him to administer the drugs. He wants to take over. He wants to treat me. Let me give in completely. So she felt less of a person because of her illness, and that's what happened here.
Maybe partly.
Yeah, no, because I can't think of anything else, because she's a very bright girl. She wanted to start her own practice. She wanted to start her own clinic. So she was enthusiastic otherwise. But
no, you may be academically intelligent, but that does not mean that you are globally intelligent. You have to understand this. You may be a very good car driver. That does not mean that you're a good swimmer also. You have to learn. People have to know psychiatry. They have to know personality. Just because someone is doctor, IAS officer, IPS officer, does not mean that by default he will have all the
hard to understand people, you know. How do you learn psychology unless you take up the subject?
Actually.
How do you test? Because Indian boys and girls, I'm not saying just girls, boys and girls hardly date. I mean, I'm just saying, there is no dating culture in India.
Here we already have the example. The wife's sister already had that gut feeling. How did she get? Even though she was not married to the person. That is the problem. People refuse to see. And it is true that they are master manipulators, the antisocial people. You will get very easily convinced with what they say. But you'll have to have that out of suspicion, and you'll have to take the
my final question, as I'm short on time, Mr. Sahai, your final take on the punishment. Isn't this a classic case for this man to be hung until death? I'm sorry, this is a cold-blooded, premeditated murder, if evidence is true. And is this clinching enough evidence?
One second. I'll come to I'll reply to your question. So I also have one or two thoughts regarding the psychological mindset.
Yeah, I have barely 2 minutes, sir.
Yeah, I will finish in 2 minutes. Okay. So most of the girls, most of the boys, they can make out that things are going amiss. But they have decided to continue with the marriage, and most of the cases I have handled in my life, I think the biggest challenge has been that the spouse who was being victimized never agreed to get out of the marriage and never agreed to set it right. So that apart. So that is my take on how relationships happen, and I've seen large number of cases of marital discord ending up with death as well. With regards to this particular case and the investigation of this case, I think we have clinching evidence both from the forensic test side and also from the side of digital evidence. I have also been told that the other part of the story, which means the women who received those messages, their phones have also been seized, and they have also agreed to the same that they have received these messages, and they have blocked blocked this guy. They were so scared they blocked this guy. So these are two parts. There will be the cyber forensic part. There will be the forensic medicine or the forensic evidence, forensic test side, both together with huge amount of circumstantial evidence and his creating that whole medical condition by which he could administer this drug, and that also in a manner which it should not be, and where he cannot be in a position in a private sort of an environment. I think altogether everything is neatly in place. This should get into conviction. Whether the judges will treat it as the rarest of the rare cases, I would slightly be tilted to your thought process that we should take it as the rarest of the rare cases, because this case would have just gone unnoticed. So that should be basically a lesson for people of this nature who would think of using their professional skills to kill people.
Yeah, that's it. So this should be treated as the rarest of the rare case. At least that's the only justice that Kruthika can get, and the family. Thanks very much, both of you. I really appreciate Mr. Sahai and Doctor for joining us on that.